That's the intention. Yeah, Klaus Kubitschek will.
Sorry, Mr.
Campaign from.
Yeah. So that's what I want to review. So,
Oh, Tantric, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, we worked it out.
There are only two files on the CD. You can copy them to your.
Uh-huh. I was thinking too, maybe we should put this on you.
You should.
I was just thinking so that they can, so the presentation sounds better.
Okay.
You're on tape, aren't you?
I know. They actually already started recording, so
Oh, really?
whatever you say can be used against you.
Don't tell them about that. Just joking. There's the thing you put over your belt.
Okay.
Software? Excuse me, this is a software of.
Yes, you can
Yes.
take. That's fine. If you sell them, you give me a commission. That's the only condition.
Okay.
If I sell them,
Yeah, this goes in the lapel. Oh, oops. Feedback.
Here's good.
And two.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got everything in there, just
I will.
in
Okay.
the thing there and
Can I ask you one final favor? Please, get some more.
after all,
If you're here, please just check your name. Thank you very much. I think we're good. No idea. Yes. Oh, no. So lecture theater what? One? Okay. Okay. Gonna wait 5 more minutes if you don't mind. If you have one, that'll be great. You don't need one. I'm using it today if you brought your computer. So if you could please copy the 2 files on the CD to your computer. Yes, it's one is probably 185 megas. I mean, we will install it. Sorry. You will see how to install it. I was anticipating. How to go around that. Wait 1 more minute, and then we'll start. I think we can start. Welcome all of you. I'm delighted to be here and in 3 sessions to talk about the tool. That's really great. I've been in this conference for the last 2 years. I only had like a 1-hour presentation, but it was always very short. So this is a great opportunity to be able to go much more in detail, to tell you what this tool does and how we think it can help your research and potentially your teaching. The name of the tool is SimSip SAM. The SimSip is just, there's a family of simulation tools developed in my unit, and the name of the family is SimSip, and the SAM is obvious. And it was jointly developed with Quentin Laron, my colleague at the World Bank. We've been working on this tool for a long time now, more actively in the past, but we're still working on it. This is the plan for the 3 sessions. Tomorrow we have at 9 a.m. and Thursday same time, always same room. This session is supposed to be mandatory, and the reason why I thought about that is that you should be able to install the tool today. You want to use it with your own data. So only today we're going to go through the installation process. And this is a brief plan. I'm going to describe the tool briefly. We're going to go through installation, no matter how long it takes. Then we're going to see how to load the data into the tool, again, in a very detailed way. And if we have enough time, we're going to talk briefly about the basic SAM model. But that is not essential today. I don't mind postponing that to tomorrow. Tomorrow, what we're going to see is how to prepare the SAM for your work, if there's any need to reorganize the accounts in the SAM. And whenever I say SAM, IO applies to IO table. If you need to aggregate it or if you need to balance it. To see how to do that using the tool, we're going to talk about descriptive analysis and statistics that are automatically produced by the tool, among them the labor multipliers. We're going to discuss in depth the inverse metrics, multiplier decomposition, key sectors and economic linkages. We're going to see how to design experiments for both quantity and price models. And we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about structural path analysis. Is personal preference. I not only love applications, but I think that the tool is really nice help when conducting structural path analysis. And finally, on our session on Thursday, we're going to concentrate on structural change, supply constraints, and poverty analysis. That is basically what we're going to do. And I might have some time to talk about applications, what we have done using the tool. Real life examples. So this is not a free lunch. I expect something from you. The main thing is feedback. Believe it or not, that's been the main driving force of this tool in the past 2 or 3 years, right? People use it, people come back saying, hey, I think that you should add this feature. I'm getting a funny result, but we found a couple of mistakes. I'm doing this and this doesn't make sense. This result, why don't you check it? Went back, found small mistakes in formulas. People have said, hey, it would be nice if you add these to the interface. It would make it much easier for someone to use the tool. Most of the comments that I received from people have been incorporated. Some others are more difficult, take much more time. And when we do the cost-benefit analysis, we might say it's a nice application, but probably takes too much time and too few people would use it. But most of the times, we incorporate the comments to the tool. How can we make it a better teaching tool? That's something that I'm trying to hammer every single time I present the tool, but no one has really tried it in the classroom other than myself. But I'll be really interested in exploring possibilities to make it a good and a better teaching tool. And finally, and hopefully, I would be very thankful if you are willing to try the tool for your research and your teaching needs. In the past, as I said, the installation is not as automatic as I would like to, but anyone, without exception, who has contacted me in the past has been able to install successfully and to use the tool. So if you face any kind of issues, installation or use, you can contact me directly. I will make it work, no matter what it takes. So again, it's a shame that this is not one of the programs where you double click and then you start using. But I will make sure that you can use the tool if you really want. So don't hesitate to contact me with any kind of feedback, comments, complaints, anything for that matter. This is my plan for today's session. I'm going to tell you very briefly what the tool is and what it can do. I'm anticipating that we're going to use MATLAB. The tool does use MATLAB, and I'm going to tell you why. Then we're going to go again through the installation. Minor cosmetic improvements, I would say. Again, we're going to go slowly and thoroughly through installation and loading data. And if I have time, I'll talk about the basic sum model. The reason why I'm going to spend a long time today talking about installation and how to load data into the tool is because I truly believe that once you enter data correctly, you should. The rest should be really easy. The only thing you need to know is where to find the results that the tool produces. We're also going to talk a bit about the theory behind those computations. Now the tool is pretty much a click and browse tool. You don't need to program, you don't need to do any kind of computation. So if you load the data correctly, you should be ready to go. So what is SimSipSum? It's a tool that uses Microsoft Excel. Again, I received complaints about this, but there are good reasons why we use Excel. That has MATLAB running in the background that can be used to analyze SAMs and IO tables. The reason why we do this combination of Excel and MATLAB is because Excel is pretty much ubiquitous, even though it's not free. Well, in developing countries, you can get a CD from a friend and install it if needed. That's what most of the people do in developing countries. So that shouldn't be a restriction, and I'm not saying that you should do that. And MATLAB, you get it for free when you use this tool. You don't get a license, but I'll explain a bit further exactly what you get when you install the tool. I don't have any plans to try to do this in OpenOffice or any kind of a free spreadsheet. Not in the near future. So you do need to have Excel. That's a requirement. We claim that the tool is user-friendly. I hope that you agree. And the programming cost of entry is 0. If you know how to use Excel, you can use this tool. So you need to know, it's actually Excel 101. If you know how to copy and paste, then ready to use the tool. We think that it performs a large variety of decompositions and analysis, even though every time I present the tool, someone comes up with a good idea on how to extend it. And of course, we welcome those suggestions. And again, I'm a bit frustrated about this last bullet point. I truly believe that this is an ideal tool for teaching SAMs and IOs, but no one has actually tried it in the classroom, other than myself. but I still believe that that is really, really useful if someone decides to try it. The tool can be distributed for free. There's absolutely no restriction in the distribution of the tool. So, for example, if you think that you have friends who could use it, you can give them absolutely no restriction. The financial cost of entry is basically zero. The only thing you need is Excel, but I'm assuming that you use Excel for other purposes. You're not going to buy Excel just to use this tool. And this is I'm quoting myself that I like. This tool will not make you or your students any smarter, right? But definitely you will spend less time writing and debugging code and more time thinking about the results you're getting and what the composition simulations to do. We're humans and we make mistakes writing code all the time. Why do we use MATLAB? Well, MATLAB greatly enhances Excel's computing power. Anything that can be done in MATLAB can be included in a tool like this. Anything. If you want to do maps, econometrics, statistics, signal processing, database analysis, anything that you can imagine that can be done in MATLAB can be incorporated in a tool like this. So this is actually really powerful. This is true, what I'm going to say is true for all the versions of Excel, but keep in mind that the tool was initially developed for developing countries, to be used in developing countries. So I don't expect these researchers to have the latest version of Excel. There's usually some lag. So for example, in Excel XP or 2003, there are only 65,000 rows and 256 columns. So these constraints can be binding, for example, when using a big household survey. If you have a household survey that is linked to the SUM, for example, the one you use to do the household accounts, then it might have more than 65,000 observations. And not only that, the 256 columns might be a constraint for bigger sums, for really big tables. So we use MATLAB to go around those restrictions. Again, you don't need to have a license or any previous knowledge of MATLAB. Zero. You won't see MATLAB after installation. You might see the logo during installation. That's all you're going to see of MATLAB while using the tool. So you don't need a license. You don't need any previous knowledge. Again, everything you need from MATLAB is freely deployable. Basically, what the tool does is it installs a component runtime. So again, you won't have MATLAB after installation. And that is all the tool needs to. So there's a good and a bad thing that you have to copy this and install this big file before using the tool. The good thing is any person that develops a tool using MATLAB in the background, you don't need to install the component runtime again. Or even if I update the tool, every time I update it, you don't need to do the installation again. You only need to get a new Excel file from me. Of course, the bad thing is that this file could be much, much smaller if only the required components were being installed. This thing installs pretty much like the entire MATLAB on your computer. Any tool that uses MATLAB would be able to use this component runtime because everything is installed there. If only the strictly required components were installed, this file probably would be 20 megs instead of 185. It's good and bad. So again, this component runtime basically enables Excel to call directly MATLAB functions. If you have done any Visual Basic programming, when you call, or even Excel, when you call formulas in Excel, the component runtime enables Excel to call MATLAB functions directly. as if they were native Excel, Excel functions. Again, you're not getting a MATLAB license. Don't look for MATLAB after installation. You won't find it. You only will find a component runtime that does nothing for you as a standalone. And in principle, if you have MATLAB installed in your computer, there shouldn't be any conflict with that previous installation. In principle, if you face any issues, let me know. But there shouldn't be any. Okay, so we're going to install the tool. And to start, you need to have administrator privileges. Your computer. If you have any type of guest account, or if you work for the World Bank, you cannot do it because they restrict. When they give us a computer, we have restrictions on what we can and we can not do. For example, we cannot install any type of software. So you do need to have administrator privileges. If you don't have them, don't try it because you're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to go through all the installation, and at the end, it's not going to go through. So most of you already copied the two files, especially the executable, on your computer. I need to ask you to please move that file, wherever it is now, to a directory without spaces. Be careful because desktop and my documents do have spaces on their path. Don't use those. The best thing you can do is to create a new directory, name you want, but something like this, not a bad idea. Okay, for that matter, but the important thing is that it doesn't have any spaces. Why this is a problem? Ask MATLAB. I have no idea, but it always creates a problem. And once you have this directory, or any directory without spaces, then please double click on the executable. You should move the executable to that directory and then double click on it. And you're going to start seeing a bunch of windows and messages, but let me tell you briefly, one of the things that's going to happen is that these files are going to be unzipped during installation. So you're going to have this file, which is the main file. This is the tool. Shell file is the tool. You're going to have a copy of the user's manual, some PDF. You're going to have a copy of the installation instructions, but you have this file anyway. It's on the CD. You're going to have a fake household survey file to use in the tutorial. We're going to see how to do poverty and income distribution analysis. So this file has some fake data to do that. And finally, there's another Excel spreadsheet that we're going to use as an example to input data in the tool. So you might see, some of you might see this window or something similar. This window is telling you that there's a net framework component that needs to be installed, something of that sort. So please just click and install if you see that window. Yes? That's fine, you can replace it, yes. You won't need the installation instructions file anyway because we're going to go through all the steps. And you might see a bunch of windows saying, like, if you want to install these for just one user, this user, or all users, just go ahead and click next, continue, whatever you need to do. And please let me know when the installation is complete. Might take a couple minutes. No, no, it doesn't work. If you try to use your own version of MATLAB, basically what's going to happen is that the tool is not going to find it. Yes.
This is not
No, if you have MATLAB on your computer, let's say
Yes.
your own version,
right.
when you try to use the tool is not able to locate the
To
other.
recognize it.
Right, no, it doesn't recognize it. It needs this component runtime. So yes, you need to go through the installation, even if you have MATLAB.
Right.
Yes. Give me just one quick second, because I have some slides on potential installation issues, but I think we found one that is not in my slides. Is anyone else having any issues with the installation? Is that a positive no, positive silence, or negative silence? Positive means you have issues?
No, I think positive.
Went well, okay. Do you have MATLAB installed? I have it. It's basically telling me that the MATLAB is not on the system path. Okay, we'll check that shortly. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay, let's do the following. Let's go through the troubleshooting. Basically, what you need to do for those of you who received warnings, there's no point in restarting your computer. Just please open this file, SimSipSum 050410, the only SimSipSum file you have in the directory where you copied the executable. Please open that file. If you're prompted, macros have to be enabled. Every single time you use the tool, macros have to be enabled. So in Vista, for example, I'm not sure about Excel 2000 in Windows 7, but it should be similar. There's a ribbon, right, on top of the data, and you have to click here and enable the macros. So please do that before trying this. And then go to the main sheet, it's called main, and click on the compute inverse matrix button. If you get a message saying inverse matrix was computed successfully, then you're ready to use the tool. Otherwise, let's see what you're getting. ActiveX, okay. So you can click OK 75 times. And this is what we have to do for that ActiveX error. Close Excel, please, for those of you who got an ActiveX error. Close Excel. Yes. Did you click 75 times already?
Oh, and then I got an email.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. You have an error, so close Excel, please. And then you need to go to the DOS prompt There are different ways to do it, but in XP, you go, do you have XP or Vista? Seven. It should be under accessories. It's 7. And then you might find it there. The DOS found. Then, if you could please type the following. If you install it in C, should program files all that you see there. That is just changing the directory. Yes. So do you have this? Let me know. Yes.
Find this PowerPoint file you,
It's not.
so,
Because you already wrote your name here and
yeah,
your
of course,
email
because I bring
address.
computer, but unfortunately,
Right,
I
so,
borrowed it from my friend.
yes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to email to you the presentation tonight.
Can I have it right now?
Can you have it right now?
Okay, okay,
That's
after,
fine,
after,
thanks, sorry.
Okay. You can have it, but, and if needed, if you don't have a CD,
I have a
drive.
flash memory.
then I can, yeah, you can use it, we can use a flash by the end of the session, or
Exactly.
I can send you a link
Alright.
for you to download the file.
Alright.
Yes, absolutely. After the session, as soon as I get to the hotel, I will email the presentation. Yes. And this should be the name of the directory, right, that you created. If it's only this last line. Yes. Okay, now we have an issue. Okay, we have an issue with the registration error. So this is what you have to do. And this is one of the advantages of feedback, right? I didn't know how to solve this issue. When you get a DLL register server failed message, I didn't know how to fix it, and I went to MATLAB and they said, there are still some issues that we need to get straight. But then a researcher from Burundi, he's working on the tool. He had this problem. The first time he contacted me, I said, I need to go back to MATLAB because they still don't know what to do with it. And by himself, he found the solution. So you need to close Excel first, and then using Windows Explorer, go to this directory. Then he sent me the solution, and it actually worked for 2 or 3 users. Then you right click on this file, and we need to change the compatibility tab. So I'm assuming you're using Vista, is that right? Sir, what is your name? Yeah, are you using Vista?
Yes.
Yes. That is one issue. So we need to follow these instructions to change the compatibility to Windows XP. And this is one of the beauties of Windows. You can have 100 computers using Vista. In 90 computers, the tool will install without any issue. And in the other 10, you will have all kind of different error messages. This backward compatibility is cannot execute a file created in XP in Vista because you need to change the compatibility. So did you Did you finish with this? Okay. Once you're finished with this, I'll let you know what to do. Yes. You also have these instructions. This is the only thing you don't have in the installation instructions PDF, this slide. You don't have it, but if you have any other error, you can open the installation instructions PDF, and you'll find instructions on how to solve those issues. For example, in your case, you're having the ActiveX error message. So this is exactly what you need to do. You need to close Excel and try to register the DLL. Did it? So after you do that, you need to do this, which is go to this directory and try to register the DLL now. Yeah, the problem was with the compatibility of these files. Because I don't know how the DOS prompts in some of your systems, but this is how it should look, like that. It's a window like that, right? You cannot do this using like clicking on your Windows Explorer. It's not possible to do it. You need to go to the DOS prompt. I'm about to suggest, we'll probably try 5 more minutes, 3 more minutes. But if problems persist, what I'm going to suggest is and then afterwards solve it. Usually in my experience, only like 1 or 2 out of 10 users face all my expectations. Hoping that is not a problem with the latest version. Let's try a couple more minutes and we'll go ahead. And I hope it's not an issue of the latest version because, for example, Susana had a version that was working. Now you try the new version, it doesn't work. So I hope it's not like a generalized problem with the installation. The old one, you tried it now. Yeah, I hope it's not the case that I made some kind of mistake with this version. Okay, we're gonna move ahead. Again, I'll make sure, even if I don't sleep tonight, that all of you have a working version for tomorrow's session. For what we're going to do, mostly you don't need the tool to be working, the MATLAB component. So let's go ahead and see how you would input data into the tool. So I ask you to please open that file, Tanzania Tutorial 2001. You should have a spreadsheet in the folder where you copy the executable. And please also open the file, the tool file. Please remember to enable the markers. That is key. Could you install it? Great. That gives me hope. And this shouldn't be this difficult, but. Okay, so you have both files open? Good. So this is the main sheet. You go to main, if for some reason you don't see the main sheet, you can go there. And this information in column B, information that is used only for printouts. Doesn't matter, right? If you, instead of writing Tanzania, you write the name of your girlfriend, year 2153, currency soccer, and units cakes, no effect, right? It's just that you're going to see very funny printouts. But in my case, I have used this tool for several countries, then it's extremely useful to have printouts. That makes sense, right? So I know that I don't know, some kind of simulation is for this country, this year, this currency, and these units. Right? But again, if you forget to update it, if you write funny things, no effect. It's just information. And this is the button you have to click to start inputting data, define metrics. Okay? If you click on that button, you should be taken to a sheet that looks like that. Right? So this is where you define the structure of your metrics. And by structure, I mean two things. First thing, you define which are the endogenous accounts and which are exogenous. The order is absolutely critical. For the tool, the endogenous accounts come first, then the exogenous accounts. Okay? If you have your sum arranged in a different way, you can use the tool to rearrange it or do it yourself. But the important thing is that endogenous accounts are on top, exogenous accounts at the bottom. Same thing when you go on the column dimension. Okay, that is critical. Then the other thing that you are going to do here is to specify how many accounts you have in each category. Now these categories are not essential. You can do anything with those categories. The only thing that I need you to keep in mind is that these three different colors are used for three different groups when we do multiplier decomposition. So whatever you write in the orange group is one group, the gray accounts is another group, and the green accounts is another group. Three different groups. That's the only thing that matters. And you can group the accounts in any way you want and find convenient. I just used this layout because I think it's very common for SAMs to have these types of accounts. But not all SAMs have these accounts. You might not have land, for example. You might have only activities but no commodities. And you can see that this can go forever. So feel free to write and to group your accounts in any way that is meaningful to you. Okay? This tool doesn't recognize names, so you can write in any language. You can write anything. Again, this group you can use the name of your girlfriend if you want to. There's no word recognition going on here. Use any label, any grouping that you want. Okay? Same thing here. If you decide to group your exogenous accounts differently, then go ahead and do it. You might split government, for example, taxes and expenditures, or income and expenditure. And the other thing is that the grouping is completely arbitrary. I mean, other than having these three different groups for multiplier decomposition, there's no loss if you group, for example, all the factors in one single category. Right? You still have, let's say, 17 types of labor, right? So the fact that you call that category labor or factors, or if you put together the 17 types of labor and then you add three different types of capital, it doesn't really hurt. Again, these labels are only for informational purposes. What you need to get right, though, is the number of accounts in each category, right? So if you have 17 types of labor, then make sure that here you need to write 17. Because the tool then is going to import this amount, this number of endogenous accounts, this number of exogenous accounts. If you make a mistake there, then the tool is going to think, for example, that the last category of household is actually an exogenous account. You make a mistake in these numbers. Okay? So if we go back to the file that we opened, the Tanzania tutorial, Going to have it small here. You have it on your computer, but if you don't, doesn't matter. These are the activities accounts, right? I have 15 activities in this sum, right? And this number of activities needs to match the number here. Right, so it is already done actually, because that is the sum that I used to preload the tool. So here I should have 15 activities. And so on and so forth. I have actually 15 commodities, so I should write a 15. This is the categories I want to define. I actually grouped here labor. I have only 4 categories of labor, because the original sum has many more. 2 categories of capital. In this case, I have land. What if I didn't have land, and you still want to use the same categories? You just go and type a 0 in front of land, and then the tool deletes the category automatically. Okay? Or you could choose to do skilled labor and skilled labor capital. Doesn't matter, right? The only thing that's crucial is the number of components and the grouping, 3 different groups. That's all that matters. Okay? So once you type your numbers, one important thing. This residual account, I guess if you should try, cannot be changed. You cannot add accounts to the residual. You cannot write a 0 here, nothing, because this account is needed for checking the balance of the sum. So you should not be able to modify that, because I protected those 2 cells. And my suggestion to you is don't use your own residual account. Okay, just to make sure that the loading of the data is correct, leave out the residual account. And then the residual account computed by the tool should match what you had before. Okay? So after you have that, you should click on this done typing, use this design. So just make sure that the numbers match, but they should. And then after you click on that button, you're going to get a bunch of warning messages. And the reason is that all the information that you have in the input metrics sheet, that is where you're going to copy the sum, is going to be overwritten. So for example, if you have a simulation for Iran, right? And now you have a sum for Australia, and you want to do a new simulation. As soon as you do all these untyping, all the information for finding you, okay, to all that warning messages, you're going to do the easy thing to do as done 2005, right? And then you input the data for Australia, call it Australia sum, any other name. But that's the only reason for the warning messages. You're going to lose all the information that you had in the tool. You did simulations, the inverse metrics, all is going to go away. That's the reason why, even though it's a bit annoying, you're going to get like 4 or 5 warning messages. You need to be aware that you're going to lose everything if you haven't saved. So after you said that okay to all those messages, you know exactly what you're doing. This is the way you copy your sum. You go to the source file. So let's say here I have the new sum I want to input. And you copy, including the labels, all your data. So again, I'm going to leave out the residual account. This is the residual that I already computed. I'm going to leave it out. As you can see, this sum is balanced. So if when I copy the file, the tool tells me something different, is because I made a mistake in putting the data. I'm going to leave out the residual account. I'm going to copy the rest. Okay? It's just, again, this is the only thing you need to know about Excel. Copy and paste. I go to, well, I didn't clean it. But you should find this clean. And I go to the cell C3, because I'm going to copy labels to C3 and paste the information. You should have labels on column C and row 3. And the rest should be data. It is always a good idea to check that the data was inputted correctly. And there's actually a button in the tool that not only checks the balance of the sum, but it also checks for non-numeric characters in sums, which I didn't expect to find, but I found that quite frequently. People have sums from ASCII files, for example, and they're not aware that in some cells there are actually spaces. Instead of having nothing, a cell that is supposed to be 0, it has spaces. So when you import that to Excel, that cell is a text. 2 spaces is not an empty cell. So we can check for those things, for those problems, when we click on this button, check whether the matrix is balanced. If we click on that button, let me go back. It's actually on the main sheet. Right, is this button, second button on the left column, right? If we click on that button, it tells you that this procedure only adds the existing differences to the residual column. So any differences between row total and column total is going to go to the residual column. Okay? Now, if you consider that these differences are too large, you need to balance the sum. Basically, the tool is not doing anything at the moment about those potential differences. So we click on OK, and this is the residual column that the tool produces. So you see that they're basically 0. I mean, this is something 10 to the minus 13. Those differences are basically 0, which is exactly what I expected, because I know that my sum is balanced. Okay? Don't underestimate the usefulness of this little button and this little check. For example, if you know that your sum is balanced, and you do this, and you see differences, it's because you made a mistake when defining the number of accounts in your sum, or when copying and pasting. Okay? So even if this is the 15th time you use the tool, and you can do it with your eyes closed, please click on that button every single time. Yes, the numbers are, again, minus 3 times 10 to the minus 12, which is basically 0, right? I knew that my sum was balanced. So that is not an issue, but if I see, I don't know, this total 2,000, if I see 150 there, I know that something is wrong, right? If I know that the sum is balanced. If the sum is not balanced, then this column should match the residual account that you left out. If it doesn't, again, we made a mistake inputting the data. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of checking this process, because after you have the data inputted correctly, everything should be extremely easy. But if you don't do it correctly, then 2 things can happen. First thing, if, for example, you pasted it incorrectly, and instead of this label being on row 3, it's in row 4, then and you try to do some simulations, Excel is going to tell you, hey, I don't understand row as a member, right? And it's going to give you a bunch of error messages. So that's more frustrating even than installation. Or if you make mistakes, you can give the wrong names to your simulations. Because let's assume that all the accounts are moved incorrectly one row down, right? So again, my last endogenous account, let's say, is households. I have 4 categories, but since everything is moved down one row, then my last category of households became exogenous. So I'm going to do a bunch of simulations, and I'm going to give names to those simulations as households, impact on households. Incorrect. That is not my data. The data was pasted incorrectly. Again, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of checking that the data is inputted correctly. After that, everything is, did I say downhill? Downhill is supposed to mean easy? Okay. Everything is supposed to be really easy after that. So this is exactly how you would look like if the data was inputted correctly. You should be extremely happy because now everything is very, very easy. Okay? I was going to say something about the SAM model, but I'm really concerned that the installation is not going well because tomorrow we're going to use the tool intensively. I want you to click on the button, see the outcomes, the output by yourself, not only see the tool working here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the session short for today. I'm going to work individually in each of your computers and make sure that everything works fine. There's no big loss. There are only like probably 6 or 7 slides on the basic SAM model. Most of you should be familiar with the model already. So I'm going to start the session tomorrow with this on top of whatever my plan was for tomorrow. And I'm going to make sure that the installation is working for all of you. Feel free to take more CDs if you need them. If you try the installation tonight and you're having issues, then shoot me an email. I'm online. I'll reply to you quickly. This is the account I check all the time. My personal email. World Bank account, I only check that a couple times. 29.
After before 29, 8.
JC, and then my last name, which is Parra, 29@gmail.com. If you have any issues, I will also email the PowerPoint presentation to you as soon as I get to the hotel, or even before. If I can connect here to the internet, I will do it. And I'll see you all tomorrow at 9. And I appreciate your patience. I didn't expect the installation to have so many issues. And it shouldn't be that difficult. Out of 10 users, I usually have 2 users with problems. But now, almost 100% of you having installation issues.
Why it's phone problem?
So again, this tip that a user from Burundi gave me worked fine for a couple people having issues with Vista and Windows 7. Changing the compatibility of this file. It should work.
Because my Windows is Vista.
No, again,
I understand what
the Excel shouldn't be an issue. The Excel. What might be an issue is the registration process of the DLL using this file, which is before really actually using the Excel. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. There is, I guess in the installation instructions file, but let me check for you real quick. I think I have a solution. Oh, I do, right? Yeah, Susana had the same issue. It's called the automation error. During the installation, you're going to find an error, which is the automation error. And let's see, it's here. Basically, what you have to do, you follow these instructions and you go to the system path. And you have to make sure that these, the reference to that directory appears before the reference to your MATLAB installation. So the system path is just a list of directories, let's say. You need to make sure that this directory appears before your MATLAB, current MATLAB installation.
Right.
And that should solve the
Does
issue.
this appear before on all MATLAB directory, you mean?
Again, the system path is just a list of directories, right?
Yeah.
So most commonly, when we install, this is going to be the last
All right.
on that list. So you just get that, cut it, and move it before
I see.
your MATLAB,
Okay.
the reference to your MATLAB installation.
Right.
That should solve the issue, Susanna. Yes. Again, this is really unexpected, but I'll make sure that it works for you. All these solutions, I have tried all of them, and all of them solve the problem. I don't know why it's not working today. Again, I hope that I didn't make a mistake when packaging the latest version. I hope that's not the case. Also, and I appreciate your patience. Indeed, it's difficult.
Thank you.
Yes, I don't have any problem with that.
Because I want to practice too much and so tomorrow be ready
Yes.
for everything. Maybe find the problems or. My Windows is this, usually I
No,
have
that's
this problem.
Crazy. This thing about Windows is crazy, and the instability of Excel is also. I've had to make several changes to the tool only because a feature that was working in XP working this
I
time.
missed it.
Yes. 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 That's all. That's always a good practice because otherwise you would lose the data you had before. Lo mejor es desinstalar la versión primero. No, pero esa versión es suficientemente vieja.
Sí, ves.
Mira, mira lo que tienes que hacer. Perdón un segundo. lo desinstalas. No, thank you. Señalas el MATLAB, lo que sea. No, solo el MATLAB compiler. Espérate, verás que salga. Thank you. So it's working, right? Great, great. XP. Yeah, usually that's where I find the least number of problems. Thank you. Ya está la desinstalación. Cuando termine esa, entonces instalas la que te di hoy.
Y si tengo algún problema, mañana
Me cuentas, sí.
cuento. Vale.
O me puedes mandar un email y a ver si podemos solucionarlo esta noche. Yo te respondo.
Vale, así intento estar acá para tenerlo ya mañana.
Sí, eso sería lo ideal.
Vale, muchas gracias.
Okay. So you created now a directory on the